now, considering the fact that women are the most affected, I would like to ask Spandana ma'am, should reaching women in distress need to be classified as an essential service under COVID-19, as currently it is not considered as an essential service? And also, what can be the possible policy level and legislational changes that we can adopt to promote gender equality and empowerment, especially with regards to COVID-19 policies?
Right. So firstly, a very good morning to everybody. Leela ma'am, Shravya, Sri Harshita, Punni ma'am, and Pragita ma'am. Very honored to be part of this panel discussion. So, firstly, I would actually like to start with what Purnima ma'am said. She spoke about elders and the kind of struggles that she saw for elders in her own society. So, I would like to say that there's a Tata Trust run a program known as Elder Spring Program, for which I am the lawyer in Telangana. So, recently, I had also got a call from an NRI couple saying that our parents are in Hyderabad, we are not able to get in touch with them, and we need to speak to them, and they are like too old and they can't help themselves out. So initially what we did is that we went to the parents, we tried to connect to them, and then what we realized is that because of the COVID situation, they were not able to access any of the places, areas, or medical shops, or stuff like that. So firstly, I want to give a kind of information that there is a helpline number that is run by Tata Trust in coordination with, it's supported by state of Telangana, which is 14567. It completely runs for elder citizens, and recently we've started it for PWD as well. So now the issue here is that when we talk about essential services, I think the first thing that we need to understand is that, are we as a society cautious enough to understand that women come under the essential and important category? Because a lot when you talk about essential services and importance, women are generally neglected. So first thing that we need to do is that as a policy, we need to bring awareness in the departments, in police, as well as a lot of governmental organizations, that women is an important aspect in the society, and we need to implement and we need to provide them with certain kind of services in terms when this type of COVID situation or pandemic comes up. So beginning to say, it's not that we don't have laws or policies for women, children in general. We have a lot actually, but the problem here is the problem of implementation. So if you see, we have a Domestic Violence Act. If you see, we have if it comes to wages, we have equal wages law. Then we have a lot of laws like Factories Act. We have Minimal Wages Act, stuff like that. But the thing is, are they getting implemented? So right now we are talking about the COVID situation. But then when you see in a general scenario also, women are generally paid less than what a man earns. In COVID, what it is happening is that it is considerably decreased because of the non-payment capacity of the employer. Now the third thing is, as Pragita ma'am told, that there are different sectors. For example, there can be a rural woman, there can be an unemployed urban woman, there can be an employed urban woman. So the categories differ according to the societies and the areas, basically. So now what happens is that if, for example, recently I have read an article that state of UP has categorically said that labor laws are not to be implemented for the next 3 to 4 months, which I think I don't understand what is the logic behind that, because anyways, when the act is there, the law is there, still there is a lot of discrimination happening towards women. And if you particularly bring that kind of law, then the employer is in no way under an obligation to pay them, whether it is their salary or it is any kind of health benefits that they should give as part of employer, or any kind of responsibility that they have. It is just shrugged off like that. Apart from that, if you see, there are few countries I would like to mention. For example, if you go towards Europe, there's an article I recently read. I think it's Belgium, if I'm not wrong. as soon as the pandemic hit the country in March, like they were so fast, like in early March, they set up a task force. Now, what is that task force? That task force specifically deals with domestic violence and women related issues during the COVID period. So now, under the task force, they wanted to make it so specific that they have even, like I think, ordered the government has ordered the public prosecutor's office to maintain a domestic violence wing altogether, and the hearings for the same have been done mandatory. For example, like if some case comes, it has to be mandatorily processed in a fast manner and dealt with. But is that kind of awareness there in India right now? For example, did we do that kind of policy making, implementation, discussions, and all to kind of bring in that immediate effect for women? So now I would like to also point out that NCW has done a lot. For example, National Commission for Women, the main headquarters in Delhi, has initially had a WhatsApp number which received huge number of calls. Then I think they had a huge number of cases coming up. So what they did was they again I think recently opened a hotline number also, because a lot of people were not technologically so equipped to message or send them SMS and all. So they have understood the gravity of the problem. They have been holding a lot of discussions, a lot of policy kind of meetings with all the state officials, police officials and all. But then the thing is that we need to probably understand that this issue is important. We need to make a specified law and policy for this during the COVID period. Apart from that, even if we think of implementing the laws that we have already, even then we can be successful. But the problem here comes on implementation. For example, I'll give you an example. For example, I'm an advocate. Today I might fight a case, I might win a case. I will get an order. But the problem here is winning is not the problem. The problem here is the implementation of the order. Will it happen? Now, for example, it might happen today, or it might not happen for like 1-2 years. So did the justice actually happen? So now what I'm exactly trying to say is that law is one thing, making policy is one thing, but the intention of implementing it and getting it done is the most important thing. So now for that, what can we probably do is that we need to work, or the government needs to work with multidisciplinary and intersectoral organizations. For example, a lot of NGOs or sector experts that are there, because they will be working there every day on everyday basis, and they will know what kind of policies and groundwork and research work and field work needs to be done, etc. Then the data collection. The data collection, like I think Pragita madam also specified, it has to be on different aspects. Like one can be like rural areas, one can be urban areas, one can be employment, unemployment. Then the other can be on sex. Then the other can be on like the domestic violence issues that are taking up. Mostly the domestic violence issues are taking up in, if I'm not wrong, the families which are a bit not that financially equipped, and where the husband is prone to more alcoholic conditions and all. So the thing is, this analysis has to be done properly. Then the government needs to ensure that the protection measures are gender in favor of gender responsiveness. Like, for example, it's not just making a law, but if such type of COVID comes, or if such type of pandemic comes, or anything happens, the women, children, and everybody is like, everything is like gender sensitive for them. It's like helpful for them and not a complex procedure. For example, now what happens is there is law, there are numbers, but the problem is they are not accessible due to lockdown. But in this type of conditions, we need to understand that accessibility is very important, because what is the use of law and what is the use of a provision if we cannot access it in the right time? So that accessibility model also has to be studied. Then what happens is that the priority now. For example, now when you talk about essential services, a lot of things are there, but as you said, women is not there in essential service. So that priority to women needs to be given, that they are essential and that they are important part of the society, This kind of problems can occur only to them. That needs to be addressed in a particular format. That format needs to be drafted or policies needs to be made. Then again, why I'm not again saying law, because law we already have a lot. The only problem is we are not implementing it. So probably we can, when such COVID situation comes, or so we can follow the model that European countries are following right now, and we can probably make a immediate task force who are proactive, efficient, and come up with something in 2 to 3 days, not taking like 2 months also, because this is something which needs to be addressed. Otherwise, it is like almost a life and death issue for some of the ladies, if I'm not wrong, especially when the abuse and beaten cases and stuff like that
Yes,
are
ma'am.
there. Yeah, so I think that is the thing that we need to adopt. That's the policies that we need to make, and probably make them more aware. I think awareness is also very important, which I think is lacking. Otherwise, this kind of situation for women should not arise,
Yes.
especially in a developing country like India.
So as you
Yeah,
mentioned previously that we need to first recognize and understand that
yeah,
women are are essential service that needs to come under essential services.